Your second book, The Tennis Partner, which I read after reading The Covenant of Water, is about a medical resident addicted to drugs. I was so fascinated to learn. I guess, did I learn it or I already knew it and it just opened me in a way that doctors struggle with addiction? Because it's something I never thought about or don't remember in all the years doing shows about. And I've done shows about just about everything. Because the last thing you want to think is that your doctor has an addiction, a drug addiction, or your pilot has a drug addiction. But I get the sense that there obviously are addicted people in every profession, and so doctors would not be exempt. But is the experience, my impression from The Tennis Partner is that the experience of addiction for doctors is different than other people because the shame is so great.
Yeah, I think I was very much like you. I didn't quite know the extent of addiction amongst doctors until I had this very personal experience with David, who was my medical student, a former tennis professional, and then became my intern. And at one point, he told me his past history of addiction, intravenous cocaine, and then he relapsed. In learning about him, I visited a center that cares for physicians with addiction, and there were about 100 people inpatient at the time, and I learned how common this phenomenon was. And I remember in their big AA circle equivalent hearing a surgeon talk about how she filled bourbon in her windshield wiper reservoir to take hits between hospital. I heard of a nephrologist who'd been, caught and sent to rehab so many times that whenever he was called for testing, unpredictably, they would just call him up and say, show up, we want to test you. He would catheterize his own bladder, fill it with somebody else's urine, a patient's urine, and then pee it out under observation. And he was only caught when he passed out after using in his own hospital, and in the ICU, his own urine gave him away. I mean, you only had to hear a few stories like that to realize that addiction is a really powerful disease. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are people who should know better. And it's really not about choice and moral weakness. That at some point, it's just out of control. And as you said, when they get caught, there are two very opposed reactions that they have. One is intense shame, so they're very high suicide risk. But the second is immense relief because they knew this was bigger than them.